So, what are the key elements of a successful email marketing strategy? Daniel?
The key thing is to provide value in your content. If you send out an email saying, look at us, we're great, no one cares. Kieran's always telling me this. No one cares.
No one cares. Come on.
So
Try harder.
It's about providing value in your content. Now, that could be content marketing, as in here's something useful. It could be special offers if I have specifically said I want special offers of this type. But don't be that person that's just throwing stuff out there and hoping it's going to stick at the right time. You've really got to provide value in your content. And it doesn't need to be 100 pieces of content. It might be there's one really great thing, but it has to provide enough value that I'm going to look at it and it's going to make me want to go back. And I know from all the newsletters I subscribe to, there's probably 3 that I always read because I know I'll get some value from it. That's what you need to do. And it's easier said than done, but you have to focus on the value.
So what about frequency of emails? Can you send too many, too little?
You can definitely send too many. You can actually send too little as well if people want more. So the best thing to do is ask people what frequency you want. When they're subscribing, do you want this weekly, monthly, daily? And see what they want. The other thing you can do is you can start by sending out maybe monthly or weekly, and then you start to ramp up a little bit. And what you want to really keep a really close eye on is your unsubscribes and your open rate and click-through rates to see, actually, am I sending so much that I've burnt people? And what you really don't want to do is get to the point where people have just switched off to you and it's going to the newsletter folder and they're never looking at it from that point of view.
So what about the ratio of commercial and then non-commercial content?
I think that what you should do, and there's different arguments about this, is if you go 100% non-commercial content, i.e. here's some useful stuff every time, and only sending out commercial content, here's our stuff, buy it, when the email's been triggered. So if, for example, you come to my sales page, you have signed up for my emails before, and then you stay on that page more than a minute and a half, I might say, I'm going to trigger out an email to you saying, hey, look at this, we've got this really great thing you might be interested in. Otherwise, really sticking towards just trying to provide value. Because if I do that, every time I send an email, I've got the chance of getting you back to my website.
That's very much a B2B strategy, though, I would think it was.
Right.
I've worked with a lot of B2C organisations, and actually I've learned that people enjoy shopping.
Right.
It's fun, but it can't be the only show in town. And if that's all you do is send out repeatedly desperate buy our stuff
right.
to everybody, and it's one size fits all, that's not cool. Where I think it works a lot better is when you do a similar thing where actually taking a look at your data and you're triggering emails off the back of what people have actually looked at. So you learn a little bit about your audience. So I've been looking at this, okay, let's give them a great offer on that. Then that's great, that's a real sweet spot because it feels that much more personalised. So I think there's a balance. Yeah, right? There is a balance, really. And actually, it does differ from audience to audience. But I completely agree with you, Dan, on B2B. I think that's a great strategy. And we've seen that work really well for target internet. I'm just thinking about applying that to some of my e-commerce clients.
100%.
And they'd go nuts if I suggested that.
Yeah, never talk about the product again. Exactly. And I think that's it. And it's actually saying, give you the things you want, provide value because I know what you're interested in, customize it and so on as well. I'm just trying to find a ratio. But I think there has to be a ratio. It's like if it's 100% sales, it won't work. Yeah.
So what about giving people the opportunity to reply to your emails?
My pet peeve is that it says, do not reply. And it's like, that's just saying we're so lazy in the setup of our IT that you can't respond to this email or we don't want to hear from you.
Normally those emails start with, we really care about you as a customer. Yeah, right. You
don't
even
reply
want
to
to
this.
hear back from me.
Yeah.
How rude.
What we've done quite often is to say, if you reply to this, we will read it, we will respond to you.
Yeah.
And it suddenly goes from being a broadcast channel to a two-way channel from that point of view. And I think that's the power with an email.
It's making it more of a social channel.
Right,
we're used to this now. Web 2.0 happened quite a few years ago, and it was exciting because there was two-way communication. Email can be that as well. And when you start doing like that, it comes alive and magic stuff starts to happen.
And so how does email deliverability come into all of this?
So, do you know what? It's really hard to get your emails in the actual inbox in front of your customers.
Right.
And I never underestimate that. So there's lots of simple things you can do. Just use a dedicated email service provider. Somebody like MailChimp or Campaign Monitor or Direct Response. And any of those services are set up for doing this. And increasingly, our CRMs have this kind of functionality built into it. But you need that infrastructure because if you don't have that, your email's just going to fall at the first fence. Then the other thing now is it's this one size fits all kind of broadcast and no reply emails really flies in the face of this. It's actually you need your audience that you're sending emails to be well engaged. If they're not, the inbox inspectors at places like Gmail and Yahoo Mail and Outlook and Hotmail, all these places, they're looking at everybody you send an email to, Louise. And if a high proportion of those never even open it, then they score you, like you're judged. Like, this sender, Louise, she's not very good. Like, because her audience she sends to tend to ignore it. And the higher proportion you have ignoring on each of these platforms, the bigger the chances you end in the other stuff inbox that no one ever looks at. And that's where email campaigns go to die. So it's really important. Actually, it sounds counterintuitive, really important that we work really hard to make sure everybody on that list is engaged and regularly, have those automated cleanups that's on a regular basis. Say, okay, the system's noticed you haven't opened these emails. Okay, let's just send a re-engagement email to check that they do still want to get it. I think that's really, really, really good. And it comes back to engaging content. If you're sending the wrong things to the wrong people all the time, then they're gonna switch off. And even although they haven't unsubscribed, they'll never be getting your messages. And it's not like we have on social media, you have like a boost you can pay to play. You don't have that with email. Once you start ending in that other box, then you're kind of dead to me. I might as well have unsubscribed. So those cleanup processes, and yes, it's going to mean smaller lists, but actually what that's going to do is it's going to give you much higher levels of engagement that email inbox inspectors are going to see. And that's the secret to always getting delivered. That and ask questions, interact with your customers. Again, just like on Facebook, we know that if we interact with a Facebook page, we're probably going to see a lot more of what they get. It's the same thing on email. It's working in a similar way. I think what's different is there's no one company dominating it. It's just lots of different inbox inspectors are doing their similar thing, but you need to get that engagement. Therefore, your content needs to be really good. Therefore, you need to really mine that data on who's interested in what and start leveraging on that.
So make sure you're providing value throughout.